Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's a Friday night. Listen to United Public Radio 107.7 New Orleans. And we got Jay here with us tonight.
How's it going, Jeffrey?
It's going.
Yeah.
And we're still alive, though, and Putin hasn't nuked us yet, and hasn't been a Trumpel-Gooch civil war.
Wait until the 8th.
No Trumpel-Gooch civil wars yet, but tonight's guest, Don Brunke. Did I say that right, Don? No, Brunke.
Brunke, but Brunke sounds kind of exotic, so that's we can go with that.
Well, I'm from Georgia, so Brunke. But what is your nationality? It sounds Swedish or something. It's not, right? What is it?
No, my husband's last name, German. Yeah.
Your husband's so German. Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay, and your book it was great to have you back. Thanks so much.
Sure.
It's always a pleasure with Inner Traditions. And shadow animals, how animals we fear can help us heal, transform, and awaken. So last book you did the serpent. So
Right.
What got you so into animals? I mean, you definitely are loving the animals, which is great. I love it.
Well, how I really got started a long time ago, and this is over 2 decades ago, is I'm originally from Wisconsin. I came to Alaska, and I was hired to be the editor of a health and wellness magazine. And one of the articles was about a woman who talked to animals. And I thought, whoa, that's kind of interesting. So I interviewed her, and I ended up interviewing a lot of different people who did this, who knew that there were such people as animal communicators. And this is way back in the day, right? 25 years ago. So it wasn't a big thing like it is now. And that's really how I got into the whole field of connecting with animals and ourselves at deeper levels.
Would you consider it shamanic? Like it's kind of like medicine, right? I know that in shamanism, I have a lot of those animal cards, animal medicine cards and stuff like that. So it's like dealing with their energies.
Yeah, I mean, shamanism is a little different, and animal communication is more of I would say it's an art and a science. So you're telepathically connecting with an animal. I kind of think of myself as a translator. So I'm oftentimes dealing with a human on one end of the line and the animal on the other. And I'm tuning into the animal's emotions, its feelings, its energy. Sometimes it's physical body, sometimes it's emotional body. And I'm translating that, if you will, into, English for the human at the other end. So, yeah, but there are, I definitely would say I do work with animals shamanically, and I use that term loosely in the terms of, dreaming with animals or kind of voyaging or journeying with animals. With physical animals as well as animal spirits and animal energies. Yeah.
And what do you mean by shadow animal teachers or shadow animal?
Right. So shadow animals are the ones, they're a specific type of animal teacher. And I really kind of got into this because of my book of Snake, because Snake is oftentimes, feared by people. So our shadow animals are the animals that we fear, that we feel uncomfortable with, that triggers something inside of us that makes us fearful or upset. Yeah. So there's no necessarily, an animal isn't a shadow animal in and of itself. We make it a shadow animal, right? Do you understand? By kind of projecting our fears upon that animal. Yeah. So we have individual shadow animals. One person might really dislike alligators or snakes, and then we have kind of collective shadow animals that as a group we kind of feel, we don't want them in our houses, rats, for example, or bats. So there's both individual and collective, yeah.
So what can you tell us about spider?
Okay. Well, I think it helps to look at the animal itself rather than our ideas about the animal. So spider is, there's, probably, I think when I did my shadow chapter, I read that about a third of all humans feel uncomfortable with spiders or fear spiders. And yet they're so tiny, huh? Are you a spider? Yeah. So what is it about?
I like them.
They're ugly. I don't like them for one thing. They're ugly. They scare the hell out of me. I like what they do. I just don't like them doing it anywhere near me.
I like them. I like them. I just don't want them.
Don't crawl up my leg.
Don't want them on me. I like them though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want them on me.
Yeah. Well, and the spiders don't really want to be on you either. Nothing
Yeah.
personal, but
Yeah.
you're not food to them. You're not that interesting to them,
If
right?
they were big enough, like in the Hobbit movie, if they were big enough, they would eat us.
Yeah, but they're not. That's fantasy, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, since there's skeletons on the outside, any giant fossils, unless they got stuck in the mud and turned into rock, there could have been spiders as large as dogs and deer and that size way, way, way back when there was more
Yeah.
oxygen on the planet. But there's the way the planet is now. There's not enough oxygen for creatures that size to exist. Not in any large numbers, though. There are things like Mokele Mbembe, who's allegedly a dinosaur living somewhere in Africa, and then there's the Loch Ness monster, which is probably a plesiosaur living somewhere underneath the ocean and inside, the great deep lakes of Upper Scotland. But other than that, no, there are no giant creatures other than what's in the sea.
So you don't have to worry about spiders.
No, not this. Just a little tiny one.
Spiders are
And
tiny.
from
The
what I've
spiders
heard,
we have,
in the same respect on arachnids, the scorpions are in that same genophile, and they say that if you get bitten by a scorpion, if it's really, really small, don't keep it to yourself. Let someone else know. Otherwise, you're gone.
I've been stung by a scorpion before in the bed where I used to live, and it's not fun. I don't even know how I got there somehow. I guess I just crawled up there, but it sucked. So tell us about the exercises. Each chapter has an exercise. Is it kind of like a meditation? I mean, what can you tell us about the spider, the exercise, or any of the exercises?
Yeah, well, the spider exercise has to do with really kind of a bare bones way of dealing with shadow. And maybe we should talk about shadow too in a moment, about what that is. The exercises are varied. Some are meditations, some are asking questions about, what is it about spider that you really fear? And it's kind of getting a little bit deeper than the superficial of, oh, I just don't like them. What is it specifically about spiders? Because they're so fast, because you don't like the looks of them, because they're hairy, because they have 8 eyes. These are all specific things. And then where do you feel that in your body? If you saw a spider, if a spider started crawling up your hand, what would you feel?
Oh, definitely. I mean, almost paralyzation. But fight or flight kicks in, and I usually, swipe it off, and in the process wind up killing it, trying to get it off of me. But that's not the intention. I'd rather it just not come anywhere near me. And it is the looks.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, the spiders scare the hell out of me. But my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. So, having the fantasy of being bitten by a radioactive spider and gaining their abilities and powers, to be able to climb walls and spin webs, fascinates me. But it's fantasy realm, but in reality, I would rather not ever see one. Again, I like what they do. Just I would rather they did it so far away from me that I never ever even see them.
One of the premises of the book is phobias are built on ignorance about the animal. So you don't know a lot about. I don't know if you've ever researched spiders or thought about spiders.
I have.
Because that can be very helpful, and it can help you see the animal for itself rather than through the lens of your projection or your ideas or your beliefs about the animal. And that's one way a lot of psychologists and just people in general who work with phobias help people overcome a phobia, is by really learning a little bit more about that animal, realizing that there's a very small chance. Where are you also in Florida or New Orleans?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania. So I don't know if you have dangerous spiders there. We don't here in Alaska.
I'm in Florida.
We have brown recluses and black widows. Yeah. And if you're allergic to either one of them, they will kill you. And the brown recluse, whether you're allergic or not, they will really mess up wherever they bite you.
It's true. And so really what working with the shadow is it's removing your trigger, removing that knee-jerk reaction to I gotta kill it, I gotta get it away. It's moving into a space where you're a little bit more balanced, and you still might not like spiders. And if you see a brown recluse in your suitcase, you're not going to stick your hand in there, right? No. But it allows you to have more of a peaceful attitude about it, and act appropriately, not irrationally with the spider. Does that make sense?
It does, but I mean, I have actually looked into them and studied them. I was fairly well versed in high school biology and learning about creatures. And, it's not anything about the creature that scares me. It's just the creature itself. It's just the way that their physical look, and that they're pretty much very, very quiet. Except for there is when I worked in warehousing when I first moved back up to Maryland, we used to get these shipping containers or shipments of goods from China, and these, I want to say glassy. They're almost see-through. You can see the muscle through their exoskeleton. But they were so hard when they ran across the concrete floor, you could hear them skittering across the floor. So they weren't as scared because they can't sneak up on you because they make so much noise. But every other spider that I'm aware of, in at least native to my area here in the east, you don't hear them coming until they're on top of you or right on you. So that's really, I think, where the main fear comes from, is that they're just able to just show up out of nowhere, and then you look, there's nothing there, and then you look back and it's there, and it's that knee-jerk reaction that, holy cow, I got to get rid of it.
Yeah, I understand. And I mean, it would make me jittery too, just to see something like that. So if you're interested in working with your shadow, then you would ask yourself questions about, what else is it within me that that fears something that's hidden and all of a sudden comes into play, So you kind of deepen with it, you work with it in deeper ways, because it's really not the spider that's the issue. It's the spider is representing what the fear is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know it can't really hurt me. Again, except for like a brown recluse, I know the bite is extremely painful, and whatever it bites turns necrotic and dies on you. And I've never been bitten by one, but just the notion that if you're not aware of it being near you and it bites you, you're in for some pretty serious medical repercussions. So that in itself isn't necessarily an irrational fear, but
that's not
it gives you enough respect to go, oh, I recognize what that is. I better either get away from it or scoop it up somehow and throw it out the window.
Yeah. And I mean, we have the same thing with snakes, and there's other animals very similar that have that same, that silent kind of approach, and that they can surprise us and scare us.
Yeah. Snakes don't really bother me so much. I mean, I actually have you probably can't see it. I have a small scar right here in the web between my fingers. And when I was a kid, we were in Florida for a couple of years, and I happened to see, and I was like 3 or 4, happened to see a snake crawling across the front porch of our house in Florida. And I reached down to grab it, like that. And he bit me right there. And I thought I was a goner. So I run into the house. I'd tell my mom, I just got bit by a snake. I'm going to die. So again, not an irrational fear, but I was 3 or 4, not knowing what it was. And we came back out. My mom saw what the snake was, and it was a baby garter snake, which are constrictors. They don't have poison. But he had an egg tooth. They have an egg tooth that comes out the front that they get out of the egg with. So he was fresh. I mean, he was probably maybe a couple of days old at most, maybe, 3 or 4 inches long. But my mom gave me a book on snakes, and when I was 3 or 4 years old, I started to read up on snakes from that early age. So they don't scare me as much as they might startle me if I'm walking through the woods and not
startle is a good word. Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of them, and I know I'm pretty close on identifying whether it's a biter or a constrictor, and so I know which ones to avoid. And up here, when I grew up in Maryland, we had water moccasins and copperheads, water moccasins are only aggressive really in the water. Their land cousins, the cottonmouth, they're aggressive on land, and then there's the copperhead, which is aggressive no matter where it is in Maryland. They will actively attack you no matter how big you are because they're territorial. So I've been able to avoid all those 3 kinds of deadly snakes running through the woods with my friends. So I respect the animal, but it doesn't scare me unless it pops up out of nowhere and just startles the hell out of me.
We all have our own individual shadow animals, things that trigger us, just like we all have our individual triggers in the world. Should we talk about shadow just for a bit?
Sure.
I would love to hear what you thought.
Yeah, it's a psychological term, and the shadow refers to all those parts of ourselves that we prefer not to identify with. So it could be shame or guilt or arrogance or weakness, whatever ego-deflating qualities we don't want to see about ourselves, we tend to hide away. So the shadow holds everything that we've kind of judged to be bad or that we've disowned. So it could be our secret fears, it could be our repressed emotions, hidden prejudices, or maybe not even hidden prejudices, dark beliefs, things like that. And we really create our shadow very early in life, when we're little kids, 2 years old, and our parents and our teachers want us to be, smart and good and obedient. And so we learn very early kind of how to like stuff the parts of ourselves that aren't valued away. There's a poet by the name of Robert Bly, and he calls that shadow the long bag we drag behind us. So it's all the stuff that we push away, that we shove away, and that gets progressively longer and larger the more we live. Because we're in grade school. Kids have certain cool things, and not. We learn to push uncool things in there. High school, when we marry, our college, whatever it is, whatever group we're associated with. There's judgments about how to be in the world, and so it could include, we can have shadow material about other races, other countries, other nationalities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the problem with that? Well, the shadow is all of those exiled selves, all that disowned selves that we kind of don't want to look at. And it does come out, however, it's part of us. And the way it kind of sneaks out subconsciously is that we project it onto the outer world. So if you want to know what your shadow is, all you have to look at is what triggers you in the outer world. Is it the pompous politician, the inept driver, the person who talks too much or boasts too much, whatever that is, whatever that trigger you have in the world, and we all have it, it shows us a reflection of our shadow material, of what our shadow is. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so, I mean, as far as animals go, there really aren't that many that scare me. The spiders for sure. And then there's like some of the really, really, really strange, even uglier things like the false crickets. They call it cave spiders, pedipalps. They're like large discs with like six. It's like in the Harry Potter movie. He's the one bug he takes and he makes it grow big and he hurts it in front of the class with the spells. That kind of thing is, you only find them in caves. But wow, those things they're deadly scary to me. I'm glad they don't really come out in civilized areas. But as far as people go, I think people are a lot scarier than even spiders to me.
But you probably have a specific type of person you're thinking of as what you're uncomfortable with or what you fear about people. If there's an aspect of it, right?
Yeah, and generally that revolves around their religion for one thing. More things that have happened bad in this planet have happened due to some difference in religion. You look at the Crusades. There was 1,000 years of 400 or 500 different crusades against different people, just because this one group didn't like the other group's message. I mean,
you're right. I mean, that's key shadow material, isn't it? It's us versus them. It's an us versus them mentality. And you can have that with religion, with race, with political groups, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of a belief that they're wrong, they're bad, they're incorrect. And if you stay at that level, you'll have that. You'll be forever triggered by, whoever the bad people are, without maybe getting to know them at deeper levels. Just because we have a label on us doesn't really mean that we're not human and we don't have ideas and we don't have redeeming qualities, right?
Yeah, that's true. But there are some people I think that just have no redeemable qualities whatsoever, and most of those people, thank God, they've been caught and put in jail and aren't getting out for a while. So that is, I think, a good thing.
And what is there any kind of trickster component to this shadow side? Is that anything you ever got into, like a trickster kind of component?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I especially talk about that in terms of coyote and fox with dogs, because the trickster is that aspect that it kind of dances between worlds, doesn't it? So it goads us into being funny. It coyote, especially if you look at it in the Native American tradition, gets us to laugh at ourselves, at our own weaknesses, our own mistaken beliefs.
Yes.
So yeah, I think the shadow, I think the trickster character can help a lot with exposing our shadow and helping us look at it more clearly.
Definitely. Well, it's neat how you have some different chapters. Like for instance, scapegoat, reclaiming our projections with the goat. And of course, I'm a Capricorn, so there's some goat stuff going on with me. But what about that one? And then I'm interested in the nightmare one too. Like what is nightmare a type of horse? I'm trying to remember that chapter. But nightmare.
Right, it was a little bit of a play on words because I was thinking, oh, the horse would be related to nightmare because mare is a female horse, but it's really not linguistically. And I say that up front in the chapter, but I love the metaphor, huh?
Yeah, it reminds me of like the Headless Horseman's horse or something.
That is a monster in Dungeons and Dragons. They call it a nightmare. It's like a horse from hell that demons and things ride.
There's a lot of horses from hell, or horses, demonic type horses in legend and mythology. And that's always a great thing to look at when you're looking at shadows, because we've done it for forever, haven't we? I mean, there's always this beast that lives, outside of the village or in the cave or underneath the ocean or somewhere away from us. That's kind of a collection of the group shadow, whatever a group's fear is. You look at their main monster, and you'll see a reflection of their shadow qualities. Yeah,
and I think deep down in our flight or flight responses, reptiles are one of those things, because I know for a fact that as we were smaller in our earlier anthropology, snakes were large enough to swallow our kind basically whole. So. And that's one of the things that they actually they talk about in retconning, and talking about the character Chewbacca in Star Wars when they're in the trash compactor and the little underwater snake thing attacks Luke. You can see the fear in the actor playing Chewbacca, how he's scared to death of this unseen snake thing, and they replay it back later on in like in their encyclopedia, their off canon lore, that on their homeworld the Wookiees were hunted by these large snake creatures. So I think that's a deep embedded fear that almost every human's going to have a shadow creature of some sort of snake or reptile.
Well, it's interesting. What I'm thinking of when you're telling me that is, are you familiar with Kundalini? Kundalini is called,
vaguely. Jeff knows more about it probably than I do.
And then so it's more in Indian, East Indian mythology.
The Nagas.
Yeah, the Nagas are kind of divine snake beings. But Kundalini is called the sleeping serpent, and it's an energy wrapped at the base of the spine. And the story goes, when a person is ready for awakening, that energy moves up the spine, almost like a snake, and goes to the crown and helps awaken the person. So there's something about snake that has been connected with humans for a very long time. Yeah. Positive as well as negative. But in ancient times, snake was an advisor to royalty, often aligned with gods and goddesses. We see the snake over the Buddha as he meditates, the cobra head. A lot of the Indian gods had snakes that they would wear them on their arms, right?
Yes.
So snake energy, you think of the pharaoh and that that image of the snake that comes over the pharaohs. I forget what the headdress is called.
Cobra Commander.
Yeah. So snake is very positive too, and we see it in healing. You look in the back of any ambulance, and you're going to see the rod of Asclepius with a snake on it, a single rod with a snake climbing it. It's been a sign of medicine for a very, very long time.
Yeah, the U.S. government got it wrong. There's two rods. One has two snakes going around it. The other has one. And the rod with one snake is the rod of
Asclepius.
Yeah, he's the one that was the father of medicine. The one with two snakes going around it is
the Caucasus.
It's the caduceus, and it's
Say that wrong.
The rod of Hermes.
Yeah, right? With what?
Is the rod of Hermes, the messenger.
Hermes, yeah. So, correct.
But the thing about the Buddha with the snake, the cobra going over top of him like that, is in the legend that he was out near a tree, and I don't remember the name of the tree, but it's a weird named tree, and it was about to rain while he was meditating. So the snake opened up its hood to shade him from or shield him from the rain.
Right.
And there's a really really good movie with oh god, what's her name? She's Barbarella's daughter, the lady who played Barbarella, Jane Fonda's daughter, and it's called The Little Buddha, where after the main shaman of the Buddha sect dies, these bodhisattvas go out looking for his reincarnation, and they find him in 3 children, one Chinese, one Indian, and one American.
That's Keanu Reeves, right?
Keanu Reeves is in it too, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
really, really great movie. But when they show, and Keanu Reeves plays the Buddha or the Bodhisattva before he becomes Buddha, and they actually show that scene where the snake comes up and shields him from the rain. It's a very, very nice movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what about goat? I mean, lately I'm a Capricorn, and I noticed all these tarot people calling Capricorn the devil card. I'm like, no, that ain't fair. And then they try to make us all into stockbrokers, which that's BS. I'm definitely not a stockbroker. I'm like the opposite of that at all. But the thing is, what about the goat? What did you get into with the goat energy? And there's some animal magic book by DJ Conway, and you say the little invocation, and there's coyote and stuff in there, but they kind of associate it with freeing guilt somehow.
Yeah,
in that particular book.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because in ancient times, the term scapegoat, right? A scapegoat is something that you load your, they're the problem. And so in ancient times, communities used to kind of ceremonial load their sins through the priest onto a goat, an actual living goat. And sometimes red fabric would be tied around its horns, sometimes a silver necklace. But all the people's sins would be loaded symbolically onto that goat, and that goat would be led away into the wilderness, never to return. So it was a way for people to really project their shadow, put it all on the goat, send it away, huh? It's kind of
very
cheat,
nice, really.
No, it's a way to cheat, yourself out of your, like, oh, I don't have to deal with that anymore. That's what creates shadow, is the idea and the belief that we don't have to deal with, all the things we're actually responsible for. Huh?
Jay said goat, greatest of all time. I've never heard that one before.
There's a radio station near me that calls itself 92.1 The Goat, and they use the goat and the themes of the goat for their mascot. But they also did the greatest of all time. They played the greatest of all time rock and roll. So
nice.
Yeah. So I did a tarot deck, the Animal Wisdom Tarot, and the connection of goat with the devil is very old. And it goes back to Pan, who was a pagan god of the woods, and it was kind of this god that liked to dance and liked to fornicate and liked to just have a great time. So all the rural people loved this god, right?
Oh yeah,
loved Pan, yeah. And there's many iterations of them. So sometimes it was even a plural. They were called the Pans because there were so many different versions of Pan. So this was something the early church didn't like a lot. Here's a god that's a nature god, that's drinking wine and having women and just having a great time. So they started to take symbols of Pan, the goat man god, and made it into gradually, and this happened not overnight, but over centuries, into the devil. And that's why we often see the devil in film and in legend, with horns and with kind of hairy legs and cloven feet and things like that. That's where it comes from. It comes from Pan, the original nature god.
Yeah, I've always wondered if Bigfoot and Pan are kind of similar, like those kind of satyrs or whatever. But that's a whole nother show. But
they can't be related, because if it was related, it would be Big Hoof, not Bigfoot. So.
Yeah, Bigfoot. So what can you tell us? It's not something we get to talk about often. We had Wild Trees. That's his code name. He's like an animal microbiologist on recently. So we got to talk about weird animals and insects. And we usually don't. So this is like a double dose in the last few months. And we're grateful for that. But what can you tell us about bugs?
Well, yeah, as a shadow animal, it's all in the name. What bugs you? Right? So I have one of my chapters is that which swarms, stings, bites, burrows, and invades. So I look at progressively, scarier bugs about what bugs us, because, from I can't think of the name. The locust plagues. That's a swarming thing, and it's just like so much, and that's the sheer volume of locusts that can invade and can overtake. We don't really have it nowadays, but back in the 40s and 50s, there were locust storms. There would be darkest clouds that would travel over the U.S. and wipe out entire villages. Basically, they eat everything. I mean, it's really amazing. So we have that aspect of insect, that which storms, and then we have the stingers and the biters. So bees, flies, there's all kinds of things that can bug us in that way. And then, it's a kind of invasion, isn't it? So there's that whole, I think there's no, it makes sense that a lot of aliens that come from different worlds, especially when you see this in the 1950s films, have the big bug eyes. They have these insect qualities, because insects, I think in general, are something that a lot of people are fearful of. On the one hand, it's funny because they're so tiny, right? But they can bug us. Just think about a mosquito in your bedroom at night. I mean, you could go crazy, right?
There is also the Hopi Indian belief in a creature that's not small that they call the ant people, which they consider to be also star people, someone from outer space, that are insect in nature and are quite vicious, and they do not like each other. So when they clash, there's war between them.
Well, there's something about insects that is very alien to us, though, isn't it? It's a very different kingdom. We don't have, we don't relate to insects the way we do to a dog or a cat. It's a very different type of kingdom and group of animals, and so
it's not something you want sitting in your lap. Yeah, you don't want to sit in your lap to pet. No.
Yeah, although some insects we love, right? Butterflies and fireflies.
Butterflies are cool. There's a few. Not that many, I don't think, but
yeah.
What about praying mantises? Those freak me out.
Oh, I like those. Those are cool.
Especially the alien ones.
The real praying mantis that we have on Earth, they're a protected insect in the state of Maryland. You cannot kill them. It's like a $3,000 fine and jail time. But one thing I like about the praying mantis is it eats other bugs, including spiders. So go. I'd love to have my whole house surrounded by those.
Well, I think in a lot of martial arts traditions too, praying mantis is really valued for the way it moves and the way it.
And also, it's also called arnis in Chinese tradition. Arnis and praying mantis are the same thing.
Yeah. So insects cover really a wide range. I mean, we could spend a whole hour probably talking about insects. Yeah.
Recently, it got colder, and these big, I forget what they are. They're a roach, but they're big, and they're in Florida, and they suck. And
palmetto bug. Probably.
They started coming in because it was cold. Every time you open the door, one would sneak in. So we're like going crazy, spraying poison everywhere, and it didn't get crazy, but it was just enough to where they're gone now, thank God. But I did not. My mom was screaming in the kitchen.
It's getting cold out, Jeffrey. Let them in.
Those things here, though, they're crazy. I think everyone has those on some level that try to get in their house. Don't matter who you are.
They're a big problem down south. I lived in Georgia for 13 years. The palmetto bugs, also people call brown roaches. They're enormous. They're like 2.5 inches long, but they swarm. I mean, they're like it's a major problem down there. But they're really basically harmless. They just they're a more of a nuisance,
thing, right? Most entomologists say the most feared insect is. You want to guess?
Roach.
Cockroach. Yeah, cockroaches, because and their evolution, they've been on the earth for more than 300 million years. That's quite some time.
Some of them glow in the dark.
Yeah, there's a lot of different species. They move erratically. There's that alien sense about them. But I think in terms of what they reveal, they kind of reveal our shadow fears of being invaded, violation, helplessness. If you've ever had your home invaded by cockroaches, there's the realization that you're not quite in control. So that's a deep shadow fear that a lot of humans have. So it makes sense that even though it's such a small animal that can't really hurt you, we could be fearful of that, and that could convey shadow material. Yeah.
Definitely.
definitely the sense of security. The palmetto bug, again, like I said, they're big. They're 2.5 inches long and about like that. But they're so flexible that they can compress their skeleton enough that they can get in underneath a closed window, underneath a closed door.
Isn't it amazing what some of these insects can do? It's amazing.
Yeah, they've got one of the better designs of, as far as insectoid bodies go. The most successful design is the Chinese stink bug, because they're very, very durable. They're invasive as hell, and they're starting slowly taking over the East Coast here. But just the fact I don't know that they can compress so much, but the cockroaches, I mean, it doesn't matter how well you seal up your house, they're getting in, and I think that's where the main fear comes in. It's like, it shouldn't be able to get through that window, but it does anyway.
It can. Yeah, that's again that feeling of violation, of being invaded.
Absolutely.
It's very primal, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
So I would love to get into the bat some. That's not one we get to bring up very often. If ever. What can you tell us about the bat?
About bats? It's really interesting when I was reading about bats, because I like to look at the biology and the habitats and the ecological aspects of an animal. So I did that with bat. But I also like to look at the myths that we have about animals and the legends, how our ancestors saw those animals. It's kind of like a collective dream, right? And bat was one of those ones where, I think most bat species are found in South America. So they had a lot of legends about bats and bat gods, and sometimes the bat gods were very positive. Usually they were menacing, but sometimes they were positive, and there were these myths about this bat man, if you will, a bat god that brings everything that the humans need to know. So there's often things about bats that have to do with transformation and rebirth. There's something a little spooky about bats because they're awake at night. They're creatures of the night, which is often a shadow animal. But what I want to say is what's interesting is I also looked at different cultures. You look at ancient China. In ancient China, bats are symbols of wealth and prosperity. And they had bats, beautiful bats, carved on palace walls, painted on palace walls, carved in furniture, often embroidered on ceremonial robes. So it's a completely different take on bat. So I think that helps us to look at, what different cultures value and what they see. So to the ancient Chinese, bats were not scary creatures. And in feng shui, bat is a symbol of, again, wealth and prosperity. You use a little image of a bat, you put it at your window to repel the evil and bring in the good.
Yeah, I like
totally different take on bat than we're used to, right?
Listen to the children of the night. Listen to the beautiful music they make.
They're actually
eat mosquitoes.
They're actually not as scary as they seem to be, but I have a quick funny story about one. I used to drive an MGB, and MGB is a little small 2-person British touring car, and it's got 3 windshield wipers in the front windshield. And I happened to drive to my friend's house, and it was dark, and I had the top down, so there's nothing up here. And a bat happened to swoop down low enough and hit my windshield, and I wasn't aiming for him. I didn't even see him. He just flew out of nowhere and nailed the windshield, and his wing got stuck underneath the middle windshield wiper, and it flipped him back, and he looked at me in the wind, backwards like that, and right in my face. I was like, and I said something I can't say on the air, and I slammed on the brakes, and he flipped back forward, and he got his wing free, and he flew away. He kept on going the same way he was going. So I get to my friend's house. I'm like, quick, give me a beer. And I told him the story, and that scared the hell out of me. But I wasn't afraid of the bat. I was just the way he, said, screamed in my face, scared the hell out of me. But the thing that's funny, you mentioned about the South American bats. There's a Mayan god called Camazotz. Mm-hmm. And if you do a Google search, either one of you can do that right now. You'll look. One of the first things you'll see is I think it's a terracotta mask or helmet. It's Batman. So it really is. No, you have to look at the picture. Their bat god is what nowadays modern lore is Bruce Wayne and the Batman.
It is funny that Bruce Wayne chose a bat, isn't it? I looked at the original comic when that first came out. And I
don't think so much he chose the bat as the bat chose him because he fell into the cave. But
you're right. He was sitting in a study thinking about what I need to be kind of a menacing creature. What would that be? And a bat swoops in, and he says, "Aha! I will be the Batman." Yeah.
And Joker, of course, is a very trickster personality for sure. Which the Joker, but definitely. So, is there an animal? We got a few minutes left, but is there an animal that you'd like to talk about? What's one of your favorites, or is there one that appeals to you right now?
Um, oh, I don't know. I mean, again, I just want to say that, there's no real animal that's a shadow animal in and of itself. It's our projection. So it's kind of always like what animal is, speaks to us or makes us feel uncomfortable. And, for me, actually, this you could relate to this since you're in Florida. It's alligators. I don't know what. Well, I do know why. Alligators, have for me, since I was a little kid, I was always very suspicious of their sneaky nature, the way that they're able to stay underneath, and come
Yeah, they're
out.
an ambush predator for sure.
Yeah, and the way they grab something and they won't let go, huh? So there's something that speaks to me about a shadow animal in alligator. And I have some of those abilities, like when I argue, if I want to make my point, I won't let go of it. So I can relate to my inner alligator, if you will. Yeah.
So, I was noticing you actually made some oracle tarot kind of things. I collect those. I'll have to check yours out. But I'm looking at them now on Amazon. That's pretty cool. So, you've
Yeah.
been working with animals, man. You got you for
Yeah.
a while, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I have 9 books I think out right now, 9 or 10. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of been my thing. So
Is
yeah,
that coyote on the front of on your animal wisdom
on my
tarot?
it's on the back. Yeah, a coyote and yeah, because I love the trickster, and then that was my number 0 card, which was the traditional fool. I call it the trickster, because that is a card in tarot that just it's kind of between worlds, isn't it? It's not really of the world, but it's in the world. So, and that's a good definition of a trickster, don't you think?
Yes. So you're
Yeah.
in Alaska. Do you have to deal with the weird times, like the sun's out and not out and all that stuff, that weird stuff?
Yeah, it gets dark here around right now. It gets dark here around 5:30 ish. But we turn our clocks back on Sunday. So
Me
in
too.
the really darkest part of winter, it'll get dark around 4:15, 4:30, and then it doesn't get light till around 10 in the morning. So yeah. So I mean, and I'm near Anchorage, so I'm not even that bad. But the further north you go, they'll have months of darkness. So
Yeah, if
That's
you go a little further
weird.
north, you get 6 months dark, 6 months
yeah,
light. But
yeah.
I
That's
like the
a
idea of the sun not coming up till 10 a.m. That wouldn't suck. But negative 40 degrees would.
It
I
doesn't
think
bother me. Some people it really bothers. It messes up their circadian rhythm. It just depends on the individual. Yeah.
I think 6 months of darkness would mess for me. I like the darkness, but the light. I like the day too. So the energy of it. So I think that would be weird for sure. That would be crazy for sure. But have you ever had to live in the part of Alaska where it did that, the 6 months part, or no?
No, no,
Would
not
it
with
would it
that.
affect you 6 months of darkness?
I'm a writer, so I don't know that it would bother me. I
Plus, I've
really
seen
don't.
that. What's that movie, 60 Days of Darkness or something,
Yeah,
where the vampires come get you?
yeah, yeah. That was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So, what is there anything in the future you're working on, or anything you'd like to tell us about? And what's your website and stuff?
Yeah, my website is animalvoices.net, and it has chapter excerpts and actually sometimes full chapters from all the different books. A lot of pictures of the tarot cards. There's a lot of interviews and things like that. Yeah, that isn't that an amazing cover?
It
It
is.
really is. So the eyes are like they're like painted on top of the picture, so
And
it's like they
I
like kind of glow in the
know.
dark a little.
I
You
know
know?
my publisher has done some awesome covers, but I think this is my favorite. And as
Yeah.
an author with this particular publisher, I never know what kind of cover I'm going to get. And this one I was so amazed by. I just thought he did an excellent job. Yeah, the man who designed it. So yeah.
So, do you have a lot of weird animals, like in your personal life, that you own, or the
Um,
like?
Not really weird. I mean, we used to have 2 snakes. We had a I'm sorry, ball python and a corn snake, Carl and Chloe. They were great. So I had them while I was working on my book. I lived with them for about 2 years. And then I met another family who really wanted to learn about snakes. And it's great, if you want to learn about an animal, to live with that animal for a while, to really get to know its rhythms. And I came to love snakes. I mean, I had never feared snakes when I wrote that book, but I really came to appreciate snakes in a much deeper way by working on that book. So now we don't have snakes. We have a sassy dog.
Have you ever got into the Bigfoot subject. I see a lot of stuff on Alaska and Bigfoot. I have a book on Bigfoot, but we do shows about that stuff. Is that anything you've ever got into a little or anything?
I've always been fascinated by it, but I've never, gone on a hunt for
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
I know there was some Alaska Bigfoot show. I didn't watch it, but I know I have a book about Alaska. It's a big subject about that.
Well, I've always really been interested in the Yeti, and I lived in India for a while, and that would be, I guess, the counterpart in a way.
They're probably very similar creatures, if not, like kind of like difference between us and gorillas and chimpanzees almost.
Yeah. So I know a little bit more about Yetis and that kind of thing. Again, I never went on I'm not an expert by any means, but I do find it really fascinating. Yeah.
It is. It definitely is. And there's so many weird things about it, from Nephilim offspring from Noah's flood to aliens, which would be the same thing, I guess, as Nephilim. A lot of weird stuff about it that's fascinating. But it's been great having you back. And what's your website again? And
Thanks. Yeah, my website is www.animalvoices.net.
Very cool.
And you can contact me through there. I do animal communication sessions, and I do tarot readings. So, yeah, lots of different things.
We appreciate it so much. It's always good to talk about animals and to hopefully help them in some way out there by talking about them, evoking that energy. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Jeffrey. Nice. And thank you, Jay. Nice to meet you too. And it was a fun talk. So
have a good weekend. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, luckily we got her hooked up. She's having some Chrome issues. I know she's only doing an hour. It goes fast, but we got into some animals.
Yeah, and we almost everything that I wrote as far as notes of what I wanted to talk about. You had the same idea, so it's good we're able to get both opinions in on those things. Because like she was saying earlier, the snakes don't bother me, and it's just those few weird, ugly insects, and that's it really.
Then we got next week Bernard Beatman. That's Synchronicities. That's a pretty big guest.
There's a lot of synchronicity in this planet.
Synchronicities. And that'll be next week's guest. Scheduling for January now, so send that out at some point. I know I just got December 16th, Matthew Ash McKernan. That's a Weirdcraft, a Norse kind of book. Should be good. That'll be our last show of the year.
Weirdcraft is in magic, or Weirdcraft is in like space boats?
Like Norse, the Norns and Fates and all that stuff.
Okay.
Like WYRD.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got that book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Is it wired? Is it weird? Is it
weird? It's the Norse thing. So, but it's I know they just sent us the one copy of it. They'll send us a finished copy at some point. That'll be the last show of the year on the Norse. Can't go wrong with the Norse. The Norse. Come on, feel the Norse. Norse time and Christmas. Are you doing Joe's thing tonight?
Yeah, probably. If they're doing one tonight, I'll get in on it. And probably Tuesday, I get off at 6. So he's going to do a results show for the voting day.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Look, the last couple times Joe's show has successfully predicted every winning president, so including Obama. So that's a good record to be on so far.
Most definitely. Let's see what to talk about. Goodness. No idea. We're just going to nap the second hour of the show. But
have you been getting into Andor lately at all?
I haven't watched Andor.
Oh, you need to watch that. One of my friends who's big on Star Wars, bigger on Star Wars than he is on Star Trek, I think, though he likes both. He said that you have to watch and keep up with Andor, and then go back and watch Rogue One, because it puts all of what happened in Rogue One into context. Now his backstory and what it was that transpired to make him the guy that he is in Rogue One. Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it at some point. Is it over already?
So episode 9 came out today, and I don't know. It's probably, if they only did 10, then there's only one more. If there's 8 more to go. I don't know how. I keep asking Google how many there is, and it only says there's 6, and we're already up to 9. So I don't know.
All right. Did you see my private message? We're going to let Jay for like 2 minutes talk about Joe's show and his appearance for like 2 minutes. Can you do it for 2 minutes? 2 minutes.
Try.
All right. It ain't going to be long. I promise you. I
All right. Yeah.
With the pets.
Maybe I can get Bill the cat here. Maybe he can help.
Hold on. He's going to talk about the show tonight and who he's appearing with.
Yeah, so tonight will be the Centralist with Joe Montaldo, the host, and myself, and Michael Angley, and we'll probably be talking, since we're coming up on the elections, a little bit of politics, maybe a lot of politics. We might get into some current events that's happening over in Europe, particularly with the war in Ukraine, with Putin and what he's doing over there. Maybe get into a little bit about what's going on with China and Taiwan, North Korea, and that whole mess on the other side of Europe. So we got about 2 hours worth of current events, news, and politics, and we will also be giving Joe's giving some stuff away, some books, some lightsabers. So we'll be having some trivia questions that if you answer it correctly and you're the correct number email that's found, you could win some cool swag. So yeah, Centralist coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and goes until 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. So that will be a good show coming up in about 1 hour and 9 minutes. So look forward to that. So please tune in. So yeah, did it exactly 2 minutes. Oh, now he's going away. That's good. So, but yeah, if you get into the chat room for the Centralist and you have some questions, throw them at us, and if we have time, we'll answer your questions as well. So it's a little bit talk show, a little bit question and answer show, and it's all good. Politics, news, and Jeffrey's back.
That's right. I had to go do number 1 real quick. I'm not sitting here with a full bladder during this thing, full whatever.
I'm in the process of refilling mine.
Yeah, well, if you need me to talk for 2 minutes, let me know. Some guests do the whole time, some do an hour, and then I think I've had like 2 hours sleep since yesterday or whatever.
Yeah, you definitely need some coffee.
Yeah, I got some, but it don't work. I think I need it intravenously. But Creep Show is a good movie. Did you ever see those movies, Creep Show?
I saw the first one, yeah, a long time ago. I don't think I've seen it.
There's 2 more.
I might have seen the second one. I don't know about the third one, but
they made a TV show on Shudder. For some reason, they didn't have a season this Halloween, so it's coming in 2023. I guess they couldn't finish it in time or something. But
it was a TV show on Showtime first, a long time ago.
You're talking about Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
HBO. But that was a Creep Show is the one that had Stephen King. Meteor. Remember, he got the green plant on him and then shot himself. He found Stephen King's in it, and he finds a meteor, and the meteor gets on him. He's like, Meteor S. And it's also got an Indian that comes alive. A wooden Indian kills people.
That sounds familiar. Like a
black pudding in a lake that takes people, eats them in the lake, and all these kids are on a raft, and it gets them. They get trapped out there. There's one with roaches. It's like Tales from the Crypt, but different. It's the creep don't really talk. He's just creepy. But look it up. Just put Creep Show. There's a comic book now and a TV show.
It's been a comic book for a long time, like even back in the 70s.
Well, Creep Show wasn't. You're thinking of something else. Creep Show. I have all the Creep Show comics. That just started not too long ago. There was a 1982 one that was just a remake of all the movies.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what.
But there is a magazine called Creep. That's or Creepy or something. That's like a movie horror one or something. But just put in Creep Show and you'll see it. And it's one word. And you'll see it and you'll know. But there's a book from Shudder I need to get. But anyway, it's really good. And there's the one with Ted Danson and his wife get buried out in the sand, and the tide comes in, the crabs and stuff eat their head, and they come back. They come back from the dead.
Oh, I know that one. Yes, I saw that one. Yeah, I remember that
That's
one.
Creepshow. But put Creepshow in your Google and just look at all the images, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2019 series Creepshow there's a movie in 1982 and
There's 3
1987
movies, and then
and
there's a
2006.
TV show
Yeah, okay.
on Shudder. But I like those shows that are like a horror anthology where it tells a story. Guillermo del Toro just did Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yeah, I saw those on. Was that Netflix?
Netflix. Did you watch
Yeah.
it?
No, I haven't watched it. I've been actually catching up on. I just finished watching Stargate SG-1. Just finished those 10 seasons, and I'm now into like second season of Stargate Atlantis. So I've been rewatching those. Those were my favorite things back in the day when they were first coming out. But now they're on. One's on Netflix, and the other 2 are on Amazon. So I'm on Amazon now watching Atlantis, and then I'll finish Stargate Universe. But they were they overtook my love of Star Trek. I always was a big Star Trek fan. There's only 3 seasons, and then Stargate SG-1 came out, and there's 10 seasons. It, within 4 or 5 seasons, took over my favorite TV show slot as my favorite TV show of all time. It's just actors wise,
Stargate.
Stargate SG-1, yeah, based off the movie.
Yeah, I've seen the movie, but I've never watched the show.
The show was pretty good. It took off where the movie left off, and 1 or 2 of the scripts. Well, I think there's a 2-part episode that was going to be Stargate 2, the movie, but they cut it and readapted it for TV. But the camaraderie between the 4 actors, the 4 main actors, is really what kept me going on the show. It's just that on screen the Star Trek actors, Kirk and Spock and all those guys, you'd think they were really best friends, but behind the scenes they hated each other. So
who did?
No, Kirk, Shatner, Spock, Nimoy, and DeForest Kelly, Dr. McCoy. Their on-screen chemistry, you would think that they hung out all the time outside the show, but they actually hated each other. George Takei and the guy who played Chekhov, they hated Shatner. They couldn't stand him.
That had to be a for every show to hate the person you're doing whatever with.
So they kind of deal with that in Galaxy Quest, where they say that the fans hate the main character, and then the actors do too, because of what they say behind his back. But it's it's not the same thing. I mean, these people literally got into like heated fights, like where Captain Kirk, William Shatner, takes all the good lines in episodes, and he's always getting his shirt ripped off. I mean, all that stuff is in Galaxy Quest. So I mean. It's not false. It's not rumor. It's all in all her books. I mean, Grace Lee Whitney, who played Rand, her book. It's in Leonard Nimoy's books. How much he and Shatner just never got along.
A Cabinet of Curiosities is worth a watch. Every episode's a different story, and there's one with like demons and Nazi artifacts with a guy from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I forgot the guy. I always forget his name.
Tom. He was in one of the Hulk movies.
Oh, brother. I always forget it. I had to look it up last show, I think. Tim Blake Nelson.
That's it. Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, he's in it with the Nazi artifacts. He buys a storage building, and then it gets weird, where they auction them and stuff, and there's like crazy. There's 2 Lovecraft episodes that are good. Hickman's Model and Dreams in the Witch House. They're all good, but the lotion one was kind of stupid. This lady buys lotion and it gets weird, but
kind of like the what is it? The second Hannibal movie, Hannibal, where the guy grabs the FBI agent and says it puts its lotion on its skin or something like that.
Yeah, this lady buys lotion and she's allergic to it, but then a weird creature gets made up. It's weird, but it's not the best one. But there's better ones. But it's definitely worth the watch. Hopefully it did good, and they're going to make some other ones from more seasons. But they were going to bring back Tales from the Crypt with M. Night Shyamalan doing it somehow with that Crypt Keeper, but that got canceled from TNT.
Oh, wow.
That would have been interesting.
They're going to get the same guy to voice the Crypt Keeper? John Krasinski or something like that?
John Kassir.
Kassir, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if that dude's still alive. It might be. John Kassir. Did you see Werewolf by Night?
No, but I did watch. You told me about the Northman.
Yeah,
I did look at that the other night. It was okay. I wasn't, you know,
it's brutal,
thrilled by it. I wasn't overwhelmed by it, but decent action.
but it was definitely brutal. Werewolf by Night, you need to watch. It's good. It's only one episode, an hour.
I
It's
think
got
I
some
saw
good.
the tile for it on one of the. Is it on Netflix also?
It's on Disney.
On Disney. Okay,
It's Marvel. It's Marvel.
so it's like a one shot, one shot kind of deal.
Yeah, it's based on the comics Werewolf by Night.
Okay, yeah, I don't know the comics, but yeah, maybe I'll check it out because I'm gonna when I get off of here, I'm gonna go and look at the next episode of Andor.
Man Thing's in it. He's like
Oh,
Swamp,
cool.
but he's from Marvel. He's like Swamp Thing, but Man Thing. It's worth the
Hey,
watch.
and it looks like John Cassier is still alive. He's only 11 years older than me, so yeah, he's still kicking.
I hope they do something with Crypt Keeper again. I love those. Those are good. Crypt Keeper here.
Yeah, he was a bit nutty.
Yeah, those were crazy. I liked them a lot.
You could probably get them on DVD. They're probably all
I
available.
have
now.
them.
Do you?
I have a bunch of them. Then I have the rest on a hard drive somewhere.
He was also in the remake of Pete's Dragon.
I never saw that.
It was okay. It wasn't quite as good as the original. Oh, and he also played Shemp Howard in the Three Stooges biopic back in 2000.
Wait, what?
Interesting. He plays Shemp Howard, Moe and Curly's older brother, in a biopic about the Three Stooges.
Andy Serkis doesn't think we've seen enough Snoke. Snoke.
Yeah,
From
Felicity
where-
Snook. She's on she's on the Flash.
No, I'm talking about Snoke is something from Star Wars.
Oh, that's
Some-
Snoke. Okay.
Yeah, some evil thing from Star Wars. Looks like one of the Siths or something.
The rumor has it that he was a clone of the Emperor, and like an unfinished, like mutated clone. But Kylo Ren killed him anyway, so.
Tom Hiddleston is in Deadpool 3. I guess he's going to be Loki. That Loki show is pretty good. You see it?
It did. There should be second season should be coming out sometime next year, I think.
Yeah, it was good. Canceled Westworld. Wow, that's been around a while. It wasn't that great. It was okay.
Yeah, from what I saw of it, it wasn't that fantastic either.
Yeah, I've seen better. I'm surprised they canceled it because they made like 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was 3.
I saw a weird thing. The Witcher was the guy that plays the Witcher is being replaced by another dude. That Henry Cavill dude.
Henry Cavill, yeah, Superman.
Yeah. They're getting rid of him somehow. He's leaving the whole show and they're going to replace the entire character away. So it's weird. For sure. Like they're going to put a whole new actor in it. It's kind of crazy. Like they're going to get rid of him. I saw the first season a long time ago. It was okay, but it wasn't that great. It was all right.
There's a lot of shows out there that just aren't that great, and the ones that are great aren't getting the kudos they want. So like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, 8, 9, 10 episodes long. Everybody's wanting a second, third, fourth season, and they keep it just keep saying, oh, it's a limited edition thing. It's blah blah blah. This it's like, why would you limit it if it's making people write into you and say, give us more?
Which show?
Obi-Wan. One about Obi-Wan Kenobi
yeah.
with what's his name, the Scottish actor Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, it was good, but it wasn't the best thing I saw ever.
Yeah, but it didn't suck. And then, like I said, half all the fans that are fans of it have been writing in, going, "Where's we want more, and Disney keeps saying, "You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it." So,
they're saying they're not going to do anything else.
If they're giving us any more, they're being very tight-lipped about it. So.
Definitely. some book I saw, Ripper Country, a collection, semi-Victorian London where imagination runs supreme. Something to do with Jack the Ripper, but it's like different, I guess, stories that take place around that area or something weird.
Yeah, was it Whitechapel? I think was the area that he was popular in.
Yeah, Whitechapel. Of course, I've seen the Johnny Depp movie, but there's a lot of weird controversy with that. From H.H. Holmes as Jack the Ripper to yada 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 yada. It's all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I wasn't there, so.
No, me either. But some of what the one show we did with was it H.H. Holmes? He's pretty sure it was like what his great grandfather or great granduncle or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's some kind of relative thing situation.
But I mean, because it sort of makes sense why he suddenly stopped. I mean, if you have a good hunting ground and you're a serial killer, why stop? And it seems the reason he stopped was because whatever business he had in London was over, and he had to come back here to the States. So, oops.
Yeah. I don't know if it's him or not, but there's some interesting parallels. For sure.
Very compelling evidence. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, I finally quit my nicotine vape. I'm trying when I feel like a bum's ball sack.
Oh.
I don't have any energy. But
you just switched it with caffeine. That's all.
Yeah, I was doing both, but I don't do it anymore. It wasn't that. Tried to do those Tic Tac things, and that was worse.
Really?
But I just went cold turkey on the vape.
Yeah, because they're selling those things now. They're not really Tic Tac shaped, but they call them Nic salts or nicotine salts. What is it, like Vin or Zen or something like that? They sell them right across the street here. I haven't tried them yet. I imagine, when I first tried chewing tobacco, it burned the inside of my gum, so I never enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that
something about those lounges as I had to quit using those. Those are worse than the vape.
Is it was? Is it getting pushed too much
yeah, almost too much.
Yeah,
it's making my dinky not work no more.
Well, that could be old age too, and those blood pressure pills too. They don't help either.
I quit those too. So besides feeling tired as hell, I'm okay, I guess. Mostly was just concerned about my lungs.
Yeah.
Man. Plus, when I was 17, I had stupid testicular cancer crap, but it spread to my stomach and lungs. So technically, I had lung cancer.
Oh wow! Yeah.
How stupid is it to sit around and inject myself with this crap? Of course, I'm still working on the weed stuff, but it's a process.
And it's a shame too, because doctors have always said that the best delivery method is a steam or a smoke. But the thing is that I don't know so much about the steam, but the Nic vapes they say that you're breathing in metal vapors or metal fibers when you breathe in that steam. And then with cigarettes, of course, you're breathing in the smoke of the tobacco and the smoke.
A lot of people act like weed smoke doesn't hurt you though. Like my UPS guy, was talking to him, and he's like, "Well, if you've been doing that, that's no big deal." Like he acts like a lot of people act like the weed smoke doesn't hurt you, but it's gotta. It can't be good either.
Well, I mean, it depends on whether you're smoking it through paper or through glass or through a water filter like a bong. But yeah I mean, there's still some harm being done. I mean, you're basically you're breathing in hot gases into your lungs.
Yeah, that's why I would like to just do like oils and stuff, but that would get expensive if you use it every day. That stuff's expensive. Oh, the new God of War Ragnarok's coming out, the sequel to God of War. They did a funny commercial with Ben Stiller and John Travolta, and Ben Stiller dressed as Kratos.
No, I didn't see that yet.
It's pretty funny, but you can just put it up, God of War trailer, so you'll find it. But it's got John Travolta in it and Ben Stiller, which I was surprised that they were in it, really. This is more popular than I thought. What's up with this fentanyl crap? Putting it in Halloween candy. People leave it in weird places so you can die. Like you find it and you get it, or putting it on weird money and stuff. Like
Fentanyl will kill you if you're not used to it.
Yeah, it seems like there's people out there trying to murder you people, like on purpose.
But I mean, every year Halloween, there's always been some, scuttlebutt. When I was a kid, they would make you. Well, they didn't make you, but they offered free X-rays if you brought your candy to the emergency room. They would throw your candy bag through the X-ray to make sure there's no like razor blades or dangerous items inside your candy. But back in the '70s, people were putting like razor blades and apples and things and going to give them to kids, which is like, what? Why? I mean, just why ruin a fun thing for a kid to come around and get candy and treats and what have you by throwing poison in there? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just bad people.
Yeah, just wanting to kill kids. Like, it's like you're that bored.
Yeah, kill them or hurt them by making them swallow chew on a razor in their food and their candy or an apple. It's just
That fentanyl is some crazy stuff. It'll croak you.
Like I said, it'll definitely kill you. I mean, it's like what they use it to. They use it to wean heroin addicts off of heroin, but when they do that, what they basically wind up doing is unhooking them from heroin and hooking them onto fentanyl, and then they go out and in the streets to try to get fentanyl. They put too much in their system and they die. So think about putting it in a kid.
I ain't never did no fentanyl. Don't they put that stuff on? What's that stuff they put on those pads? Like you wear them, like stick them to you or something.
Like the icy hot pads.
It's a fentanyl patch. That's what Christina said. That's what I figured.
Yeah, they have all kinds of pain medicines in patches. Yeah, not just fentanyl.
I knew a guy that used to be hooked to that. Hopefully he's still alive, but he talked about scraping the stuff off and doing weird stuff.
Yeah,
crazy. That stuff sounds like heroin or something. It's
very similar because, like I said, that's what they use to wean people off of heroin. They wean them off of that and then onto the fentanyl, and they try to wean them off the fentanyl, and they wind up, either retaining the habit for the heroin or they get switched from heroin to fentanyl, and they go out in the street and buy it, and they don't know how to use it, and they wind up killing themselves.
And then they croak. It's crazy. You've been watching your weird boat reality show? What's that one you watch? Some kind of reality show about a boat?
Not about a boat, but Survivor.
There's something else you said. I forget the name of it.
About a boat.
Some kind of reality show.
Well, Survivor's a reality show. And
this wasn't Survivor. It was something else. But Survivor, I haven't seen that in a while. I'm surprised that's still around. It's like a G-rated Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, kind of.
Naked and Afraid's gross.
Yeah, I can't. Especially they put unattractive people on there.
Yeah, well, either way, it's just they get disgusting.
I just think it's strange that any guy or girl would want to try to spend, and I think they're supposed to be out there 28 or 30 days. Why you'd want to go out there with your stuff hanging out? No, thank you. You're supposed to sleep on the hey, where are you going to sleep? You sleep on the ground. You cover yourself in leaves. And creatures come up and bite you in places you don't want to get bit. No, thank you.
I like that one alone. It's more classy. They have clothes. It's not disgusting. It's more like put your ass in the Alaskan wilderness or something. It's like different places on the earth, and you get supplies and stuff. So you're not gonna. It's still rough, but
yeah, that can't be easy. That's for sure.
For sure.
They also have something similar to that called Mountain Men, where these different 3 or 4 dudes show how they, prepare for being snowed in for 3 or 4 or 5 months in winter by hunting and gathering. I guess they get to have like wives that make jellies and jams and preserves too. But I said, why you would want to live out in a place where you get snowed in for 3 or 4 months and you got to store all your food for that long? Why you'd want to live out there? I don't know. I just that's not for me.
We're at Alaska. We're Alaska.
I think it's in it might be Alaska or northern Canada somewhere, like Montana, Washington State. It's somewhere. They're all over the country. There's like 2 or 3 dudes, but their houses are they're like the closest grocery store is like a 3-hour drive away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't understand why you'd want to live that far from society.
Hell to the nose. I've done it before. Not that far.
3
Pretty
hours is
far.
pretty far away. I mean, especially if you
Yeah.
like you have a medical emergency, your closest hospital 3 or 4 hours away. That's when they say when you have a medical emergency, minutes count. And so the faster you get help, the quicker you get better.
Yeah, for sure. So what's going on in Pennsylvania?
Oh God, we got that buffoon Fetterman. Thank God on the recent election, or not election, but debate, he lost some serious points because he's a thug. I mean, I'm sorry if you're running for major Senate office, wear a suit. This guy just wears like a black hoodie, and it looks like he just like stepped out of the ghetto, and he's white, and he's a giant white bully thug punk. So,
Check out this guy, Stan Gordon. I need to get him on again sometime, maybe next year. But
oh,
he's in
okay.
Pennsylvania, and he's a serious paranormal researcher. Look at his site. He's got some amazing books about Pennsylvania, but there's crazy UFO Bigfoot and
Yeah,
crazy cryptids, and man, he's the real deal. Like he's really respectable, and he gathers all these stories and investigates them, and goes out there and really gets on the scene. And he's been around a long time, but you should look through his stuff. You'll find some weird stuff in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, definitely look at it. Yeah, he's. Excuse me, I've been up all morning since like 6 a.m. But yeah, no, he looks kind of familiar, but I don't know who he looks like.
I don't know.
He kind of reminds me of Jeff Meldrum, I guess, a little.
I need to look at his books because I may have missed one of his books. I'm looking at here. Creepy Cryptids.
Yeah, Stan's new book now available.
I have a few of them. I know. Really Mysterious Pennsylvania. I always hate when I have to dig through my books to see what I'm missing. I know I have Silent Invasion, the Pennsylvania UFO Bigfoot casebook. I think I have Really Mysterious Pennsylvania. I don't know if I have Astonishing Encounters. I'd have to look. I know I don't have Creepy Cryptids.
It looks brand new, like it just came out.
Yeah. I'd have to check and see when the last time, if I got that one. I don't know if I have 3 of his books. I may. I know he sent me some before. Out on foot. But he's got some good ones that you want to you'd freak out at some of the stories there. You'd trip out to think that they're, it's happening there. There's some crazy ones.
Yeah, well, this whole area, particularly the northern part of the state and like western Ohio, or sorry, eastern Ohio, is actually a fairly hot spot for Bigfoots.
I ain't talked to Stan in forever. I don't know. I think I interviewed him. Yeah, I interviewed him once in written form. Yeah, here it is. Here's one. I've had him on the show, but here's a written interview I did with him. It's pretty interesting.
And he's got stuff on the Kecksburg incident too.
I haven't talked to him in forever though, but I have to get him on one year.
Yeah, get him on. He seems like an interesting dude. Bigfoots and UFOs. You usually don't find those two together.
Faux sures don't. But yeah, you should check him out more. I know he's in a bunch of documentaries on the Small Town Monsters documentaries. Those are pretty good too. Those ones about the creature sightings in different cities or whatever.
Has he been on Ancient Aliens?
Certainly possible.
He looks very familiar. I think he must have been on at least an episode of something, because I mean, he kind of looks like a chubby Jeff Meldrum, but the face definitely looks familiar.
He may have been on that. I don't know. He's been around forever. So,
The gallery is empty though. There's no pictures there.
I'm surprised. Man, I gotta need some kind of dang coffee enema or something.
Coffee will shoot right through you. It is a diuretic. It'll make you pee quick.
Yeah. It's weirder when you drink coffee though. It doesn't really feel like it. I don't know. It's hard. You feel it, but it's just weirder.
And it takes about 30, 45 minutes before you start feeling the effects. And if you drink it real fast, like an hour later, you're like, why am I all wired out? Oh yeah, I drank that whole big
I
thing of
know if
coffee.
you take it in a pill or something, it's like real quick.
Yeah,
I haven't done that in forever. I can't do
I've tried
that
the
anymore.
caffeine pills. I don't like them because they make me all wired out.
Yeah, those are no good. You have to stay away from those. They're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that Wild Trees interview, every time we have him on, that thing's hit 200,000. Part 2 did. And his first one hit 300,000 on the archive.
Cool.
I don't know what the deal is. They must like his name or something. I know Joe features them for some reason, but
That, and probably because of the fact that we're talking about all kinds of stuff that's biology and Bigfoot related. It's not like none of us are speculating.
most of ours get 10,000, but sometimes we get a lot more than that. Werewolf got 9,000. Let's see. Some of the other ones, Steven Snyder on serial killers got 8,000 something.
Wow.
The Wild Trees, though, every time that weird Dark Side of Paganism got about 9,000. Wild Trees, let's see where it is. Tarot got about 9,000. Wild Trees, dang, where the hell is
That
it?
tarot deck is cool as hell. I'm glad I got one.
Wild Trees got 212,000 hits.
Wow.
I'd have to find the other one, the first one, and see what that's up to.
Well, it was at over 300,000, so it's got to be more than that by now.
Yeah, that one hit 300,000, I think. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, 357,000. Wow. I don't know how that even happens.
Not bad.
Somehow it gets featured, and I guess a lot more people see it on PayPal or whatever. I want to see the Weird Al movie with the Harry Potter dude. He made a Weird Al Yankovic movie.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. They're doing like the commercials for it, and I'm like, who the hell do they get to play? And then he's like, he starts talking in his English accent. He's like, I think all the things I've done up to this point made me ideal for this role. And I'm like, how did Harry Potter make you ideal to be Weird Al Yankovic? And he's a good actor. I don't think he looks all that much like him. His face is too round, but I don't know. We'll see.
They do pretty good. Daniel Radcliffe's been in some weird stuff. I've seen some weird movies with him in it.
Weird movies, weird TV shows.
But there is one movie that's really good. Need to find the name of it. I don't feel at home in this world anymore.
That's the name of it?
No, that's me having a confession.
Oh.
I don't feel at home in this world anymore, everybody. Please hold me. No, the movie's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's got him in it. Some chick, she's in something, I don't remember what. But she's like, it's funny because he has a rat tail and nunchucks in this movie.
His rat tail is made out of nunchucks? Is that what you said?
Yeah. No, that's Elijah Wood, not Daniel Radcliffe. I mixed it up.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Elijah Wood. Well, no, not Tobey Maguire. This is Elijah Wood, Frodo Baggins. I mean,
yeah, Hobbit. He was one of the Spider-Man, wasn't he?
No, Elijah Wood wasn't. Tobey Maguire was
Tobey
Spider-Man.
Maguire, yeah, okay, all right.
They're kind of similar in a weird way, but not. But that's a good movie, though. It's weird. I haven't seen that in a long time, but he has a rat tail in it and nunchucks. And he throws Chinese stars. But it's funny. He throws Chinese star at somebody.
Well, check that out. That sounds kind of funny.
This is some band called Saxon.
Huh.
Kind of metal band. Kind of British metal band that's like old or something. But
that band.
huh? You've heard of it?
I've actually heard of that band, Saxon.
I've heard of it. I don't know if I remember. I might have listened to some videos of them or something. Anybody out there? Anybody listening? Hard Harry here. It's bigger than a baby's arm. We don't have anybody in the chat.
No, there isn't. Nobody in chat today.
Yeah, there's one person on Facebook watching, or whatever that one is.
Hey, I'm not able to see what's on Facebook.
I don't know what that's from. Oh, it's on UFO Paranormal Radio. It's probably Joe. Joe's watching us.
Yeah.
We get most of our hits are somewhere else, but on the lines and the alignments, Christina's watching. You are? You listening? You're not watching, listening. But anyway, we get most of our hits on the archive. I don't know. Sometimes we get 700,000 live. That's through different like FM weirdness.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much radio advertisement he gives us for the shows too. The more we get, the more viewers we'll get.
You're listening to United Public Radio 107.7 FM, New Orleans. That's right. I don't know, buddy. I feel tired as hell. Jay's gonna sing now.
No, I am not. I'm not singing.
Did you work today?
No, I was off, but I stayed up late and I woke up, without like full 5 hours of sleep. So
yeah,
I'm not, exhausted, but I'm not fully rested either.
Bone works. Let's see here. Isn't that some weird VR game called Bone Lab? I don't know what that is. Pennsylvania. Bone Lab. Some weird game.
Bone Lab.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Bone Lab. I have no idea what it is. It looks weird. Let's see here. What other shows? Anything else?
Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power was kind of...
I liked it.
Yeah, but it was abrupt.
I like the dark. I like the evil elf.
Yeah, I mean, they got a bad elf in it, but it just they didn't. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't tie it up. There's real. I have no idea what the whole plot is still.
It's not over though. It's not over.
Yeah, the season finale only had 8 episodes or 6 episodes.
It's basically just a prequel. That's it.
Right, but I mean, it's not like a limited series like Obi-Wan. It's it's supposed to go on for a while, but the
main part of it was the Sauron reveal. Remember that? I don't want to give it away, and then of course the Gandalf. But the main part of it, main plot was just the elves made the rings first. And I guess the other ones will make them or whatever. What do they do? Get rid of them all and only one survives? I don't remember what the story is of that.
Well, yeah, but the way I understood it in the original book is the elves didn't make them; that he made them and then handed them out to the elves and the humans and the dwarves.
Yes, I thought everybody made rings.
Everybody makes rings, yeah, but the rings of power he made, 9 for the dwarfs, 7 for the humans, and 3 for the elves, or whatever. Well, seven dwarves, 9 humans, 3 elves, whatever.
Who made them? Sauron?
Sauron was supposed to have made them.
Why would he make them for them though?
So he could control them.
Oh, I don't know what the hell.
His ring controlled all the other rings in that group.
It looked good to me. I liked it. Don't be listening to me of them right-wing conservative videos. I see what they do to Rings of Power And
Well, no, I
She-Hulk.
like the movie, just
I
or the
haven't
show
seen
rather, but
She.
it was just abrupt. They didn't. I mean, from my
I've
opinion,
noticed in a weird like bit shoot, there's a lot of right wing like little nerd bearded guys, and they like all are attacking it. Like I don't give a crap
yeah,
about She-Hulk; they're attacking that too, but they were attacking the crap out of Rings of Power, like
because
just
I didn't like the fact that there was a
like
dark
foaming at
skinned
the
elf.
mouth almost. Like I was like, oh, dudes are crazy.
Yeah, it was stupid. They didn't like the dark skinned elf. Who cares? So what? And if you read any of the books that came out after the Lord of the Rings, like the Silmarillion, which is mostly his research notes on making the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, the hobbits that become the hobbits of the Shire are in this show, and they all have darker skin, and they're described in his books as having darker, ruddier skin, the biggest feet of the Hobbit races, and like these big hairy patches on top. Um, and so far, in no incarnation have any of them had extremely hairy feet, which is really weird. But other than that, that would be my gripe. But people are mad because the guy's got black skin. Who cares? It's an actor. Who cares who got the job?
I
Either like it or
like
turn it off.
I like Rings of Power. I love the Peter Jackson ones, but
Yeah.
the ones that are near and dear, the cartoons.
Yeah, the Ralph Bakshi cartoons I have them on DVD.
I've seen those tripping before.
Yep.
There's the Hobbit, that
Yep.
cartoon. There's the Lord of the Rings, and there's
Mhm.
a Return to the King, which
Return of the King, yeah.
it's not the best one, but the first
No.
two are great.
The Lord of the Rings one it's more like what they call rotoscope. It's like live action, then they paint over to
Yeah,
look like a cartoon.
is that Ralph Bakshi? Yeah,
Yes, yeah, that's Ralph Bakshi.
Fritz the cat.
Yeah, same guy.
Watch Fritz the cat if you want to see some cat dong.
It's X-rated. X-rated
There's some
cat
sequels
cartoon.
to it. I've never seen them, but I saw them somewhere. I mean, I didn't see them, but I saw that they were.
You can probably catch them on Pornhub or something like that.
What? Pornhub has Fritz the Cat sequels?
Well, not
Maybe,
sequels, the
but
originals.
I've seen the first one, but I didn't know there were sequels. I haven't seen
Yeah, I don't
those
know either.
sequels.
There might be. I don't know.
Ralph Bakshi made a bunch of weird movies. I like his stuff. That dude's
Yeah.
still alive, ain't he? Or is he? I don't know.
I have no idea. No.
You ever see Fire and Ice?
Yes, long time ago.
About wizards?
Yeah.
I love that stuff. There's a bunch of good ones. We saw a good one, me and Christina, Wendell and Wild, which is like a stop animation from Jordan Peele. The guy that did Nope and and he did host Twilight, the new Twilight Zone for a while, but that was pretty good on Netflix. It wasn't bad. I like stop animation movies.
They can be good if they're done well. Yeah, Ralph Bakshi, born 1938, 84 years old. Looks like he's still alive.
You gotta watch some stop animations though on the weed. Gotta have
Yeah,
some weed.
like I said, some of them are pretty good. The Star Wars Hoth battle scene, that's really good stop motion animation. All those, the snow walkers, those are all stop motion animation.
Ain't nothing in there. Did you ever see James and the Giant Peach?
A long time ago, yeah.
It's a trippy one.
I wasn't really a big fan of that Tim Burton stuff. I liked his Batman movies,
You
but
didn't like Nightmare Before Christmas?
I really wasn't a big fan of it. No, couldn't care for it.
Man, come on. What about a Fantastic Mr. Fox? You ever see
I didn't
that?
see that one. I've seen most of his stuff, but yeah.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is by Wes Anderson. That's weird. It's not like Bill Murray, and it's stop animation with animals. George Clooney's a fox. The same guy did Island of the Dogs or Isle of the Dogs, another stop animation. You can just look up stop animation in Google movies and find a bunch of good ones about Wallace and Gromit and all those. Wallace and Gromit.
I seen some of it on TV. I didn't really care for them either.
Guillermo del Toro, the guy that did Cabinet of Curiosities, has a Pinocchio coming out soon. I definitely want to see that. I think it's stop animation. That'd be a good one. This would be weirder, that's for sure.
That's Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's coming to Netflix, I think, soon. To check it out. See when that's coming out. Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
I did see a Pinocchio
Guillermo.
one with Tom Hanks. That was actually pretty good.
I thought, was it okay? Because I saw it had crappy reviews, which doesn't mean anything usually, but
I mean, yeah, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't as good as the original, but Tom Hanks. And the whole time I was watching it, I didn't watch the credits when it rolled up. But I'm watching, Tom Hanks is playing Geppetto, and I'm like, this guy sounds a lot familiar. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, it snapped in. I was like, holy cow, that's Tom Hanks. He was unrecognizable to me at first. So,
apparently The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Bill Grimsley's design from the 2000 edition of the 1883 Italian novel. But Guillermo del Toro's new movie is stop animation. It looks like Ian McGregor's The Cricket, Gregory Mann's Pinocchio, some kid, Ron Perlman, Podesta. I'm not sure who that is.
Ron Perlman is the guy that played in he was Hellboy.
Guillermo del Toro, yeah. Pinocchio receives a standing ovation at the close of it. When does it start? I want to see it. When does it start? December 9th.
Oh wow, what's it going to be on?
Netflix.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it looks good. It's an hour and 57 minutes.
Nice. I was going to try to watch the Black Adam movie on. I think you can rent it on or buy it on Netflix. It's $25. I'm like, no, I'm just getting this. Charge me $5 or $20 like you would at a ticket, with free popcorn, and I'd watch it. But for $25, no way. $20 with popcorn, yeah, I'd watch it. But
they rent it on Netflix. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's $24.99, and you have to buy it. It's not like I don't want to buy a digital copy. If I decide to buy it, I'm buying a DVD to go in my collection, match up with the other Shazam movie I got.
We saw an old cartoon called Phantom Toll Booth. That's pretty good. We rented it. It's like from the 70s. That was trippy. It's on Amazon, but the Phantom Toll Booth. It's a cartoon.
Yeah. It's a book too, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. There's a good cartoon of it on. I like old weird cartoons. I kind of collect them. There's another good one we saw on Halloween when we did Pumpkin's Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. There's a good book, and then there's a cartoon that's real cool. Leonard Nimoy's like the weird villain that's bald and weird.
Oh, wow.
But it's called The Halloween Tree. Oh, yeah. What's that weird stuff reflecting on your wall? It's like you have a space-time continuum.
Oh, yeah. It's, I forget what it's called. It's, a skylight by Bliss Lights. And it's like, I don't know if you can see, it makes like a nebula, starscape kind of thing.
What's it coming from? A little ball?
It's a little black projector deal.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see that.
We have one similar, but smaller, white,
Yeah.
I think.
I just thought it doesn't show up that well because of the lights, but I think maybe if I put up like a movie screen there, you'd probably see it better.
Is that a sword on your wall? A shield?
The shield is one of my family crests, and the other thing over there is the Sword of Omens at rest. And this is the Sword of Omens with the eye opened up. You can see do like the sight.
Oh, Thundercats!
Yeah, that's the other one up there with the hilt straightened out, so the hilt's not curled up like this.
Right, that's what the shield is.
No, the shield is my family crest. One of them.
Oh,
from Scotland.
The sword is a Thundercat sword, or your family sword?
The sword is Thundercats over there, and then that's my family crest.
How many Thundercat swords do you have?
I have two of the daggers. I'm gonna at some point. I'm gonna get. There's a full length one. It's like 46 inches long. I'm gonna get that eventually.
That's neat.
Mm-hmm. And there's a Stormtrooper helmet over there, and my two monthly 50th Enterprise models.
Did they cancel that stupid cartoon they made of Thundercats that was dumb? I hope so.
Huh?
Did they cancel that dumb Thundercats cartoon they made?
I think they
new one.
Made a third one that was like really anime-ish, just goofy.
Stupid.
I didn't watch it.
Me neither, but hopefully they canceled it.
I think they did because it wasn't anything like the original. It in fact
I saw
actually
it. People
sucked.
were complaining about it. So.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
It looked horrible. You want to do Thundercats, make it like the old cartoons, or something.
Or make a live action one would be actually better.
Yeah, make a stop animation.
No, make a live action one. That would be much better.
Too hard to do though.
Nah.
They could do it. They could do it, but I mean, I'm just saying, with all the creatures and stuff, you have to be careful with it for sure. You don't want Michael Bay doing it or some crap. That's for sure.
No, you don't need too many explosions, but you do need someone who's good with makeup, and you need some good digital crossover effects and stuff like that. It could be easily done, but it would be very expensive, but you could do it.
Got some interesting Friday the 13th news. I just remembered.
Huh.
The guy that did that show Hannibal, that was really good. That NBC canceled it like a dumbass.
Right.
He's doing a Friday the 13th prequel show on Peacock. Brian Fuller. This guy's kind of he makes good stuff, but he kind of falls off the radar and gets fired and stuff. So I know
he also did some stuff with either Superman or the X-Men.
No, that's not the same dude, but I know who you're talking about. It's a different dude. I'm pretty sure that's a different dude. Brian Fuller, not the X-Men guy. Wait, no, yeah, he does weird. He's a weird dude. I know you're talking about a different dude. I don't think he did X-Men, but
I want to look.
The Brian Singer.
Brian Singer. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's the difference.
Brian Fuller looks weird, but anyway, looks like Charles Manson or something. But anyway, he did anything he does is good. He's supposed to do the Interview with the Vampire. It probably would have been better if he did it, but he always gets in trouble and gets fired and stuff. But he did Hannibal for 3 seasons, and it had amazing reviews, but not enough viewers. But now he's doing. I heard he's doing a Christine too. Something with Christine, maybe a movie. Stephen King. He's redoing the Stephen King one, but with a car. But this is weird. This is Friday the 13th prequel TV show, but there's been legal battles within the Friday the 13th franchise between 2 individuals. Their names are in here. I'm looking at bloodydisgusting.com, bloody-disgusting.com. They have an article about it. But they're always talking about the lawsuits. But apparently one dude owns Jason as an adult with the hockey mask.
Yeah.
And then another guy owns Jason, like retarded Jason and the mother.
As a kid.
So there's all these copyright things. They couldn't get, I guess, Jason with the mask on this show, the adult version, so they're doing a weird prequel where I guess the mother and his family are alive in this camp, and I guess the little boy Jason will be there, and it'll probably be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre weirdo kind of stuff. But the show is going to be a prequel series.
Yeah, it's called. I'm looking at his IMDb page right now. It's called Crystal Lake, and he's the creator. But he also did Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Short Trek, Besides Hannibal. He did Heroes.
He got fired off Discovery or quit.
Either or, but he also did Heroes. He did Star Trek Voyager and Deep Space Nine. So yeah, he's got some chops if he's on those shows.
It's just kind of I don't know how you're going to do a Crystal Lake show without Jason and a hockey mask. I mean,
well, because in the first movie, Jason wasn't the killer; it was his mom.
The mom, yeah, I know.
So I mean, you can
he's
easily
good though. He's a good. He makes the Hannibal show is amazing. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But
there were some pretty messed up visuals on. I mean, some of the, especially the visions that
the dead.
What's his face was having, like the guy with the
Oh
black
yeah,
face and the
the horn
horns.
god kept appearing to the
Weird.
FBI agent.
And then some of the food that Hannibal made with like
The food
human body
scenes
parts.
were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Izzard, that weirdo dude that dresses like a woman, was in it. He gets 8, and that's good. But
Well, there's also that one
if you
scene where he's
watch it,
eating
it
the
will
dude's brain
piss
while the
you
dude's
off.
alive. Remember that?
Yeah, that was Eddie Izzard, I think.
That was Eddie Izzard. Okay.
It's like this kind of gay dude, this comedian. That's
Yeah, he's a transgender kind of dude.
yeah, but he if you watch Hannibal, the 3 seasons, and then you realize the way it ended, that you're never going to probably see it again, it'll piss you off.
Yeah, I was upset about that because I mean they did the same thing to Star Trek. NBC did the same thing to Star Trek.
They're stupid. Yeah. Sad thing is, NBC's involved in this Crystal Lake, so he's going back to the vomit. They could have did another season and closed it, ended it, or something. The movie, or something.
Do a closeout movie.
It made me never want to watch NBC ever again in my entire life. Like I haven't. Like I don't watch anything on NBC.
I haven't had cable for the last like 10 years, so I've been doing nothing but streaming. So.
I was very upset. I almost went to the NBC offices naked and said, "I am the Red Dragon I am becoming," and went insane and ate them. But I didn't do it.
It's a good way to get locked up. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. I've read the books. I've seen all the movies.
Yeah, the first book is fantastic. I mean, I read it in like about
Red
24
Dragon.
hours.
Red Dragon.
Yeah, Red Dragon. I read it in like 24 hours. It's that good.
Really
it's that well written.
You ever see Manhunter? That old movie it was first based on.
Yeah, I've got it in my DVD collection. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's that dude now? Oh, Tom Noonan.
Tom Noonan plays the dragon. Yeah.
The dragon. That's an old good one. That's creepy.
Yeah, it's from the 80s. It was produced by the same guy who did Miami Vice.
And then Thomas Harris Slope. He's like 80 or something, so I'll probably never see Hannibal again. I don't really know, but Silence of the Lambs was the bomb. I haven't read the Silence of the Lambs book, but I saw the movie. I have the book. I just never got around to it, but I've read all the other ones. Maybe I'll read it one year.
I had the book, but I never got a chance to read it. But you know, I know I won't now because most of my books got thrown away. Yeah. But
man, oh man. Well, you got books that drizzle in there sometimes. They don't send books out like they used to, but they used to send me so many books I couldn't keep up with. Now they just kind of drizzle.
Yeah, I've been getting kind of onesies, twosies, 3 at a time. The one that really got the thing that they sent that I really liked was that tarot deck set. The art of like it's got like Scooby's gang in there and other recognizable creatures from Hollywood horror.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a great set of, and I don't know tarot. You don't use them, but it's just neat to have.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we survived. Thanks for listening. And I don't even remember who my next guest is next week. Let me look.
Yeah, I didn't look at the website to see who we got coming up.
Bernard Beitman. It's like this dude that wrote a book on synchronicities.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Supposed to be a good one. Synchronicities, like a doctor or something. I don't know. I'd have to relook at that. Who's a doctor? But the book's supposed to be good. I've heard good stuff about it.
Somebody's probably smarter than both of us.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Well, enjoy your time with the Raging Cajun. Talked to him on the phone earlier this week. I had to ask him about time zones in Alaska and stuff. Oh, but I got confused. The lady was confused too. There's weird stuff you have to, when you do a show from Alaska, the time zones can get weird as hell.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 hours behind us.
It's like 2 different ones. One's 5 and one's 3. So there's like 2 different time zones in Alaska that are weird.
Yeah, half of it's as close to Canada's 3, and then the other half of the state's 5.
All right, everybody. Well, have a good weekend, and thanks, Jay. Thanks, Raging Cajun, the Supreme JoJo. Thanks, Christina, my only audience member, plus the one on Facebook. Oh, 2 on Facebook.
Oh, yay.
We have other channels. All right. Everybody have a good weekend. Good night. Going to bed. Good night.